Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Star Wars Expanded Universe, now done by Disney, or current Lucasfilm, whichever way you slice it, Legends. Today I have for you some young adult children's books, books 1 through 7, which are the Star Wars Episode 1 Adventures. Now, I, of course, got this online, so I don't exactly know what the real book is like. But basically, from my understanding, you get some dice or whatever. After certain chapters of the story, you could play a game and kind of participate in the events of the story. Of course, I'm only interested in the story, so I can't speak for the games or anything within. But that was something that happened with that. It was just a way to promote Star Wars to kids, get them to it's Scholastic so they can buy it, enjoy it, all that fun stuff. The first 4 books that we'll be talking about were written by Ryder Winham. We love Ryder Winham. And then the next 4 were written by Dave Wolverton. Dave Wolverton's the same guy that earlier would be the writer for Courtship of Princess Leia, which is one of the best novels of the EU, I think. I really like that one. I might bite my words on that, but I do really enjoy that novel. Non-spoiler wise, I mean, the first 4 books, they're okay. They're nothing special. The first 2 books kind of focus on Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan. Of course, not nearly as well as Jedi Apprentice. But they're there, and, Episode 1 is, right around the corner, so it's nice to get a little bit more of a story with Qui-Gon, even though he's not going to be around much longer. 3 is just we get to kind of see Maul kick some absolute butt in the 3rd book. Well, the first book, I should say, is Search for the Lost Jedi. And Adigali, that's the black lady with the, weird tendril things on her head. She went on a mission. She hasn't come back. She hasn't reported in yet, so Qui-Gon's sent to go check up on that. Of course, he brings Obi-Wan along. Book 2, the Bartok Assassins. We learned some stuff from the first book, which, obviously this book's continuing off of that. Stuff happens to Qui-Gon, so that way we can kind of focus only on Obi-Wan in this book, because, the first book was, more Qui-Gon's perspective, Obi-Wan was there. Second book, stuff happens to Qui-Gon, so that way Obi-Wan can be the focus. Book 3, The Wrath of Darth Maul, we basically just see Darth Maul kick some absolute butt, which is fine and all. I mean, it's cool, especially cool for kids that got it. I mean, I have Maul locked down, the comic, I've got plenty of places where I get to see Maul kick some butt, but, I mean, it was fine. Book 4, Jedi Emergency. This one actually focuses more on Yoda, which is really cool, because we don't have that many, stories that focus on, Yoda's perspective. Not that it was super deep or anything, delving into his character, but still, it was nice to have him be, the center focus for once. But here's where I really talk about the stuff that I really enjoy, because all that stuff was okay. The stuff that was actually, I thought, pretty good for a children's story was books 5 through 7. Or 5, 6, 7, or 8, sorry, 5 through 8, I mean. Which were, book 5 is Ghostling Children by Dave Wolverton. Book 6 is The Hunt for Anakin Skywalker. Book 7 is Capture Eowyn. And Book 8 is Trouble on Tatooine. So as you can tell by the titles, we focus on Anakin Skywalker on Tatooine as a slave. Of course, character development, there's nothing that crazy, because Anakin's story, his main story kind of begins in episode 1, even though he's in the background for that one. But, I mean, the stuff that they do with some of these characters is absolutely wonderful. First off, the Ghostling Children, I mean, it's not much of a spoiler, it's in the title of the book. The only other place that we see Ghostlings, really, that I can think of is Crystal Star. And while that may not be the best book in the series, the fact that, there are children reading this, probably a lot of children who haven't even read Crystal Star. And yet Dave Wolverton decided to put in that continuity anyway, because the old EU cared about that. They knew that, as Matt Wilkins often says, that idiots like me would go and read it. And I love that. And then the character development that they give to some people. Like Anakin, yeah, there's some stuff, there's really, nice stuff about him and his friends, You just really see this innocent, pure-hearted, kind kid that he is. I mean, you see that in episode 1 too, but it's nice to get that a little bit longer, before we get into that transitional period between episode 1 and 2, where he'll become, Anakin from episode 2. Um, but it's the best thing here. Also, another thing which we'll talk about in spoilers. Obviously, I don't have that many spoilers, children books, but Kitster. Kitster's that, like, I don't want to be racist. I don't know what he is. I think the actor's like probably Indian or something. I'm not sure what that kid is, but it's the little kid, the little human kid that's friends with Anakin in the first movie, and like goes like woohoo when he wins. I mean, there's a bunch of kids who do that, but it's like there's a few human kids, and he's one of them. And he gets some wonderful character development in these books. A guy that literally has like a minute, maybe probably less of screen time, and they give him that development. I That's wonderful. And then it's the same thing with Sebulba. I mean, nothing crazy. I mean, he's literally like a Saturday morning cartoon villain. But he's fun. There's that one old lady that's like, you better get home, Annie, it's getting bad out here, or whatever, like that lady even gets some more development, and that's wonderful. And I love that about the Star Wars expanded universe. We are getting ever and ever closer to episode 1, so when I finally watch episode 1, I'll have a more better appreciation for these characters that I've read about. And that's what the Star Wars expanded universe does. That's what it excels at. That's what makes it what it is. That is why I love Star Wars. It's not because of the movies. They're fine. They're great. I love all 6 films. I'm not a prequel hater. I like all the films. But the EU is what has made me such a fan. Because the storytelling is so good. Is it the best storytelling in the universe? Probably not. I don't think there's a single book in the Star Wars expanded universe that's like the greatest book ever written or anything. But there are good stories that are true to the films that we see. And so for that, I have to say, I absolutely, without a doubt, like the first 4, they're fine, they're fun. If you want more Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan, then for sure get those first 4 books. But I would highly, 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 highly recommend books 5 through 8 by Dave Wolverton of these. I mean, I don't know how hard they are to find. I mean, you can find them online for free. But if you're trying to actually buy them, I don't know how hard they are to find. But I'd still say it's worth your time. I'd still say it's heavily, heavily, heavily worth your time. We only have 4 more books to go through. I mean, the series actually went up to 15 books, but the last 3 are just retellings of the movie, which is stupid, so we're not going to be talking about those. But the next 4 books we'll talk about, children's books, which I probably won't have any spoilers for, though, because it'll only be 4 children's books, so that one will probably be shorter than this video. But that one will focus on Jar Jar, and you're thinking, this is going to be bad, it's going to be awful. You may be surprised with what I have to say when we get to that next one. But yeah, absolutely enjoyed this series, especially the ones focusing on Anakin and his friends on Tatooine. Really enjoyed it. Really enjoyed some of the small connections that are made in this young adult series. Really, really appreciate that. And I highly, highly, highly recommend it if you have not read this series. Now, if you are a deep Star Wars expanded universe nerd and you've read everything and you know about the spoilers, then join me. I will talk about the small things I have to mention. So one of the cool things, I mean, it said it in the title of the second book, but the Bartoks, which I'm pretty sure are an enemy that you see in Young Jedi Knights. In Young Jedi Knights, I think this is when they're at the Hapen system, the Hapen world. And Bartok Assassins come after them, I think. So that was a cool connection. Also, we get a very slight mention of Sabaoth, which, again, that's such a crazy thing. Sabaoth! This is a character from Heir to the Empire and Outbound Flight. Adult novels. Like, kids might have read them, but that is, like, for adults, right? Because most time, if these books are in Scholastic, right? So these are like usually, because they don't really do Scholastic in high school. So this is for middle schoolers and elementary schoolers. The chances of them having read Heir to the Empire or Outbound Flight, unless their parents had them read it, are slim. So the fact that they put in that connection anyway, the fact that Dave Wolverton did that, or no, sorry, not Dave Wolverton, Ryder Winham, it just shows the continuity carrying that they do, which I love it. And then, as I said, the first book, Qui-Gon centric, second book, Obi-Wan centric. I really have no notes for The Wrath of Darth Maul. Book 4, Jedi Apprentice, we get, Yoda's point of view, which I mentioned, which is great. Um, One thing that I don't know if it is mentioned in the movies. Somebody told me once in a live stream that it was. I guess I just must have missed it. That the slaves of Tatooine have bombs inside them, which I mean, I always knew that Anakin was a slave, and I mean he was probably lucked out with Watto because I know Watto like yells at him and stuff, but compared to the masters he could have had, it seems like he lucked out with Watto. But he's obviously not going to leave his mother till episode 1. So it is interesting, though, to have that extra or that extra added bit, even though it might have been in the movies, might have been like a one-off line that I just forgot. But the fact that all the children have bombs in them, and if they try to run away, they die. They die. It's crazy. Book 6. I don't have any notes for book 6. Yeah. Book 7, I don't really have any notes. Book 8, the only thing I really had to say was Kitzer. They give him quite a bit. Dave Wolverton gives him quite a bit of development. He talks about his father. And by the end of the story, you even get to meet his father. His father's the one that's saving all the children. And Kitzer, Dorn, which is this Bothan character, which is really weird thinking about a child Bothan, but it is what it is. Like, he helped them, and he was like a slave for Jabba or whatever, and so he'll most certainly die if he stays. So Kitzer, despite the fact that his father's within like arm's reach, doesn't tell his father that, hey, I'm your son, because then his father wouldn't let him leave. And it was so great that we got that for this character that, as far as I know, we'll never see again. But I absolutely love that. And so, absolutely wonderful series. I hope you all join me for the next 4 as we deal with Jar Jar and find out why he got banished from Naboo, or from his city. Until then, guys, may the Force be with you. And thank you so much for watching.